My name is Tiffany Bunstein. I teach at Dobson High School in Mesa, Arizona. And we've been doing United Sound at our school for 4 years now. And we love it. We just think it's awesome. And we are branching out and doing it with more classrooms than we had previously because it's been such a success. So I've been teaching special ed for 25 years, and most of them here at the high school. The kids that I teach have intellectual disabilities. They have mild intellectual disabilities. But I've worked with all different types of kids. And so that's kind of my credentials for being here. And yeah, that's about it. I guess, is there anybody who wants to say anything awesome about themselves before we get started? It's totally time for bragging rights right now. And all you guys are like, no.
My mom used to be a professor in special ed at Central Washington University.
Oh, see, there you go.
Not sure if that's bragging rights, but
sure, why not?
yeah.
All right. Well, like Doreen was saying earlier, Emily, did you have a bragging right for a minute there? Oh, okay. Doreen was saying earlier, if you have something that you want to jump in and say, just do that raise your hand feature, because then it alerts on my computer. Because if we start talking at the same time, it gets kind of messy. If there's just a few topics that we want to talk about today. I like to refer to them as the ABCs of interacting with your peer, or I'm sorry, with your musician. The A, and we have a little handout that you guys will get also to follow up, and you can share then with your members of your club. The A stands for overall age appropriate tone and attitude. One of the things that a lot of people have a hard time with when they're interacting with people with disabilities is talking to them like you would talk to someone else in their age group. Because partially they're cute. I've taught them for a long time, and they just make you smile and giggle, and then you want to talk to them like you would talk to a smaller child. But in reality, you should really talk to them the same way that you would talk to your own peer group. The biggest difference in your communication with them is talking slower. And I know at least my friends kind of pick on me because I tend to talk slower all the time, and they say it's because I've been teaching special ed for 25 years. So if I'm talking really slow to you, that's why. So just take your speed and then just slow it down with the speed. So the age appropriate tone of voice. Also, the A is for attitude. I know sometimes the kids can be frustrating, and or they get frustrated, and you want to make sure that you're always keeping a positive attitude as you're interacting with them, even if they're just like, and you feel like you're going to struggle. Just take a deep breath in and remember that there's not a lot of things that they have been praised for. They have struggled in a lot of the arenas in their life. So just praising them and helping them through it by staying positive will really make a big difference. So that's the A. To remember, I think. The B is be sensitive to their senses, which kind of maybe is like, what? But it's kids, especially kids with autism, but mostly a lot of students with disabilities, they have a lot of sensitivity to their 5 senses. So for example, kids with autism, sounds or bright lights, loud sounds, it bothers them. And it's not just like, well, it bothers me too. It's an intense problem. So like fire drills on our campus is always something that we always let kids with autism, special ed classrooms, we let them know ahead of times so that we can get out of the building before that loud sound happens. So I wanted to make you guys aware of that. Just all of their senses are that way. Touch also. What seems like a touch of like, hey, way to go, if you're going to pat someone on the shoulder or rub them on the back. that sometimes is not just startling to them, but uncomfortable to them. And I know I've been guilty of that in my years of teaching, where I've gone over and rubbed a kid's back or squeezed their shoulder, thinking that I was being like loving and encouraging. And then kids are like, whoa! And so just be aware of that until you get to know your musician. Try and find out about them, and maybe even ask them like, hey, how do you feel when we have fire drills? How do you feel about loud sounds? Or are you all right if I rub you on the back, or will that bother you? So as you get to know them better, you'll know what's appropriate. The C stands for, you guys all know it, I'm sure, celebrate. Celebrations are really, really important. Again, like these kids, they just love being celebrated, because so many times they feel defeated. I know my students are always like, oh, I wish I was in regular classes, or I wish I could do that. And they get really down. But then when we start celebrating all of the things that they learn in our room, then they start like, oh yeah, oh yeah. So just celebrating anything that, if they're down about something that has to do with their stress or their frustration, celebrate their shoes, celebrate the outfit that they have on. Do something that makes them remember, oh yeah, like there's good stuff going on in the world. So gratitude and celebrations are really, really big. In our last group, we talked about different kinds of ways to celebrate, and we heard a couple different things. Like, how do you guys celebrate at your schools? Go for it, Priscilla.
We sometimes throw like little parties around in our classrooms, or we get to do a certain thing we want to do in our class.
Okay. Do you have celebrations with your musicians during rehearsal?
We haven't, at our school, we haven't started with our musicians yet. We're still learning how to teach the musicians yet.
Okay. So have your musicians haven't joined in yet?
No, not yet.
Okay. So no wonder you're like, parties in the classroom, because we always like celebrate with our little group. So who has done United Sound? Okay, go for it. I see you, Alana.
Me? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is just like a little like celebration, but when they get like a rhythm right or something like that, we do like fist bumps and high fives.
Okay. And
Yeah,
it's
they really like that.
thing.
Yeah.
Very good. Anybody else? Hello? Taylor?
And for us, we have one girl. She is playing the flute, and it took her a little while to get a sound out because she's very smiley, and she had trouble with the embouchure. When she got a sound out, it was a very big deal, and we were all very proud of her, and it made her very happy.
Yeah. Even if it's just that one sound, or the recognition that something's a cake and not a soup.
Right, yeah.
Sometimes like, yes, that is a cake. Max, I saw you had your hand up. What do you have, sir?
Oh yeah. Okay. So like, I feel like my school in general has like a really good vibe around celebration, because there's just so many ways that we can celebrate, and mainly what our organization director, what he incentivizes is he tries to get us to celebrate the little things, because it's always good to just feel like you're having a party.
And so is it just a lot of high-fiving? Is it a lot of knuckles?
Oh yeah, definitely. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. Usually when we could kind of see like who's struggling, who's not, and when we see like when some student is struggling, we really make it a big deal. Like for example, my student, his name is Nathan. He's playing the trumpet, and he has a problem like making the sound with his lips, because he's a little sensitive in his to the touch of his lips.
Oh, sensitive to his senses.
Yeah. The day he got a sound out, just like everyone stopped what they're doing and just started cheering for him. It made him feel amazing. He wanted to cry, he told me. It was like the greatest feeling, you know?
That's
And
awesome.
Group celebrations, man, they're the best.
Very good. We had some kids talk about the way that they did celebrations. We talked about elbow love, because sometimes the kids will have their, like fingers and hands in mysterious places just at the time that you're getting ready to high five, and you can do a quick switch to elbow love. And then that way you guys can just bump elbows. We've done, just cool jazz hands, because a lot of this is how they applaud in sign language. So you can always do a jazz hands kind of thing. Lee, did you have something to add?
It's Lay, first of all, and then
Oh, Lay, thank you.
yeah, like, it's fine though. So I done it last year, and then my musician, she played the flute, and like sometimes she couldn't really get her notes out properly. But when she did, sometimes we had like a mini dance party in like the practice room that we had, cause like the noises outside before, cause there's like percussion going on and like saxophones playing. So we just went to the practice room, and then we have like a mini dance party in there if she got like something right.
That's great. That's a good one. I know one of the last groups said they had like a special handshake, little hand thing that they did together was a celebration. So does that kind of give you a couple of ideas, Priscilla?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, the ABCs, age appropriate, tone, attitude, and then B, be sensitive to their senses, and then C, celebrate. And honestly, I have a saying on my wall that says, until further notice, celebrate everything. So the last essential that we really want you guys to take with you for the meeting today is that it's important that at the end of each meeting that you have just a quick 3 to 5 minute roundup. Hi, grown up in the background. That we have a quick little roundup, kind of a summary powwow at the end to get all of your ideas and thoughts out about how that particular rehearsal went. Because not everybody is necessarily as comfortable and as confident as you are in your relationship with your musician. And you never really know what's going to happen, what kids are going to say or do, or how they're going to feel. So just having a quick report out, asking them what went really well. And, kids are going to want to say like, oh, they finally got that sound out, or, they finally got the flashcards right. So you guys deserve celebrations also. So be sure to, relish and celebrate in your own moments. At the same time, there also might be someone who feels like, ooh, I don't think my musician likes me, or my musician said something kind of messed up today. Make sure that you guys hear each other saying that kind of stuff also, because there's a lot of learning about communication that goes on with you guys, but also happens when you guys are working with your musician. It's important that you guys are talking with them and listening, because that just builds their communication skill. How's that? Everybody good with those things?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? Awesome. Heidi, you're very still. Your picture, you're so still, and with that blue background, it almost, like for a second, I thought it was a school picture. Like you just put a school picture. All right, well, let's just talk real quick about what kinds of things have gone right at your school. Like we heard Priscilla say she hasn't even gotten a chance to get started yet with her musicians. So what has gone right for you guys? Chloe?
Hi. Something I think that went well is recently, within I think the past week, we've made the transition from just working on learning rhythms with like the flashcards to showing them their music, like the parts that we made. There was one class where they couldn't come in, so all of us took that time to make everyone's part and like color it in and stuff, and it was really cool. And so we're making that transition right now, and I think that transition is going well. Like we first, all the like the peer mentors, we played the piece for them once so they could kind of hear what it sounded like, and then we started like line by line. I think we did like measure groups of like 4 measures. We would play it with them, and they were like really excited about how it sounded and how they were contributing to the piece.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
were really excited about that.
That's awesome because it's true. They do. They just all of a sudden when they realize like the notes that they're playing are contributing to this
Yeah.
big picture, like, wow, I'm helping to make that song. That's awesome. Love that. Alana, you had your hand raised also.
Yeah, so Chloe and I are co-president, so I was gonna say the same thing, how we have just made the transition between doing just notes and like rhythms to actually putting it with the music, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
I think that's like a really cool part of the club is to see how the new musicians are able to see how their piece contributes to the overall, piece that the band is playing. It's really cool.
And I had to be honest, I'm not a band and orchestra, like didn't do that stuff in school. And so the first time we did that, I was blown away. Like, whoa, like the same way they are, like, oh my gosh, look at what my students can do.
Yeah. And
so
it was
just
cool. Like the first time like they were there and we started like learning rhythms and stuff. Some of the helpers and like our band director they were getting pretty emotional. Like,
Oh yeah, Mr. Phillip was crying or something.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
inviting them all into our band family, and it was a really emotional moment for all of
Yeah.
us.
Our
And we
band
have a new.
director-
Oh, sorry.
I say our band director did a hashtag not a dry eye in the house.
Yeah, was it? No.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Lay, I see you have had your hand up and I have been not ignoring you. I've even seen you've done like a little.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. So me, Emily, and Priscilla are all co-presidents since we all wanted to do it. And I'm actually the only returnee of doing United Sound again. And since we haven't started like with our musicians yet, a lot of the people who are like new and like all the 7th graders who are coming right now, I've been like really, really good and like really contributed to like all the videos and training videos we've watched.
Oh,
And
great.
we also did like a little teaching thing with one another, and I've seen them and they're actually doing pretty good, like handling different situations and like in that. So,
That-
like I think all of them have made really good progress.
That's great. That's really great. Thank you for sharing that. Taylor, you have your hand up.
Yeah, our special ed teacher for our chapter, she told us that some of the kids in our program, they are like really shy and they're not very verbal, but she told us that they've been like talking a lot when they come to United Sound, and they get really excited over practicing like the soup and the donut and cake rhythms, and
Yeah.
I think that's really cool that they get so excited even when like sometimes they struggle to use their words and be verbally excited. And yeah, and some of the girls, we did an activity where we like made posters and we wrote down stuff that we all have in common. And my new musician, she was like, we're all best friends, and like I think it's really cool that we're making like such good friendships with them already. And I think you guys have that to look forward to.
I know that's one of the things, like our students get so excited, like they'll say, oh, I saw my friends at lunch today and I sat with them for a little while.
Yeah.
And for them, that's just like the biggest news of their day.
Mm-hmm.
So for you guys, it might just be 5 minutes of your time, but it brightens their whole everything. So I'm also glad you said that about the special ed teacher, because we are the next little thing I was gonna talk about was what kind of challenges have you had, or what kind of struggles have you had? And I'll just let you know, someone from our last session had said some of the communication between the musician and the mentors was difficult, and the special ed teacher being present is able to maybe give you some tips on communication styles that they use. Some kids don't want to verbalize for a long time because they aren't totally comfortable yet. Some kids just want to gesture or do sign language. And those things are fine, but the special ed teacher should be present at all of your rehearsals, as well as the band or orchestra teacher. So the special ed teacher can give the mentors kind of the inside scoop on how to best communicate with the musicians. And then the band director can also be helping the musicians learn the music. Make sense? It's like okay, so what struggles have you guys had? I know you've had some. Go for it, Alana. I see you raising your hand like that.
Okay, so we have a few students that they don't come to school, like new musicians. They don't come to school every day of the week, and we have rehearsals every other day. So there's a few weeks, so they're not at rehearsal every time that we do. Like we have rehearsal, and they get like a little bit behind, so they're not as like advanced as the other students might be. So like we were wondering if there's any way like you would recommend like us being able to catch them up, but like not rushing the process, if that makes sense.
Why do you guys have it every other day?
It's like considered one of our classes. It's like an advisory class. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have advisory for 45 minutes, and then we have the United Sounds class for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Except for the timing thing. Does anybody have any? Max, go for it, sir.
So a thing I kind of saw throughout, like, this will be my 4th year doing it, and I'm really comfortable with just, really hanging out with my students. But like, what I see new incoming members is they're kind of slow to coming out of their shell almost. They're kind of just like, kind of shy, and it's kind of reflecting upon the student they're kind of teaching. And as I'm walking around my classroom, it's just like, that person's not having as much fun as that person. So I'm wondering just like how do I change the overall vibe of everyone? Like, how do I make those, new members kind of come out of their shell? I mean, it is kind of like our 4th, 5th time meeting together, but I'm wondering maybe we could have like a ice cream social or something, like not outside of music, kind of just to get to know your student.
Definitely. I know, Heidi, your hand's been up. Alana, your hand's been up. And ladies, I didn't want to blow off your question. So put a bookmark in that, because at the end, we want to do some definite conversation still about your challenge with the timing. One of the things that I wanted to say, Max, is keep in mind that they might not look like they're having a good time, but they are. Because if they weren't, they just wouldn't come. Like their special ed teacher's not going to make them go if they aren't enjoying it. But a lot of times they have, especially kids with autism, they have a hard time with expression on their own face. Just their overall affect does not always represent what they're really feeling. In the same way, like we always work on having their message, the words come out of their mouth, match their own expression. Like I'll ask the kids, how are you doing? And they'll be like, great. No. Like those two things don't go together. You got to say, great. So like they need like sometimes practice with that. So you can go over and even ask them like, hey, are you having a fun time? And see maybe what they say.
I'm realizing now it kind of came out weird, but like I kind of meant like the mentor isn't having as much fun. So yeah,
maybe ask them too.
Yeah, no, like
I'm not really too much of a specialist on how to interact with general ed kids. Like,
right.
that's kind of weird.
Yeah, no, it's just like we have our rehearsals Thursday after school, every Thursday. But I just see like that tired look after a long day at school, and then yeah, no, I just could tell they're tired and they just like kind of don't want to be there, but they're there.
Having a social event is especially now that the weather is changing, because we have done a pizza party on the lawn in front of our band room. Where just at the lunch period, they all, instead of eating in the cafeteria, like we just bought pizzas and everybody came to the band room and just sat out and had like an outdoor picnic. And that was kind of fun. We just played music and we're silly. We've also had days where we've done like a little Kahoot kind of thing where we can do it as groups. I don't know if you guys know what Kahoots are, but that's like a fun little uplifter. So I would just make those suggestions too. Heidi, thank you for being so patient. And then Alana. And then, Emily, I just unraised your hand. Did you raise your own hand, Emily? No. Okay. Heidi, where are you?
Hi. So, one of the mentors in my friends group, she's trying to like make everything like perfect, and my friend was talking to me about it, and she just was kind of like saying like she wasn't having as like the new musician wasn't having as much fun as she would.
Because she wasn't perfect.
Yeah, like they were trying to like focus on like too much like perfection and not like fun aspect of it. And like the new musician, like we were playing like our gaming class, and like she didn't call her by her name. Like I don't know if she like didn't know her name, or but like she would just say like that girl or like her or something like that.
That's discouraging. Was there anybody in the room that could go over and maybe help that mentor to be a better communicator, or maybe be a little bit more positive? You know, was there an adult in the room that maybe you could point that out to?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I have, in this, as a special ed teacher, talking to general ed students but that I don't really know sometimes, like I don't want to make it sound like I'm talking ridiculous. So I have gone to my band teacher and said, hey, if you go over to those mentors over there and tell them that they need to talk a little bit slower. And then the band director does go over there and say that. So maybe if you were able to talk to either the special ed teacher or the band director and say, you know, she's expecting something that's unrealistic, that might be a message better received from an adult. Yeah? Okay, Alana?
Okay, so we have a few new musicians who are nonverbal, and I was just wondering if you, like you already said that we should talk to the special ed teachers about the best way to communicate with them, but I was wondering if maybe like other people had experience with students who were nonverbal and how to best handle that.
Max, have you had anybody that's been nonverbal in your United Sound? Because you said you've been doing it for a few years.
Yeah, I've seen a few kids that just like really don't know how to talk. And what I found was that the best thing to do is kind of, what's it called? Like you ask them a question and then you offer them an answer, and if whether or not they nod their head or you know, answer yes or no questions, I found that like really working around questions, like giving them options, has really made things a lot easier.
That's a great solution.
Again,
would you like this, or would you like this or that?
Right. The hand visuals really help out, because seeing the options and for them to either point or to say yes or no really helps them to up their communication with us.
Yeah, great suggestion.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I don't see any other hands raised right now. Does anybody have any suggestions right now for how we can improve United Sound, or any still ideas for Alana and Chloe about what happens when you have every other day rehearsals that result in some kids getting thrown off track? Taylor?
Yeah, I was actually going to comment on how people were saying that they were having problems with their mentors in their club. I don't know if any of you guys are like in marching band or anything, but I am, and I've been a section leader for 2 years. And I noticed that, like, because, you know, sometimes people just don't want to be at marching band and they don't really care. But when you have a really positive attitude, and especially if you use like a lot of positive reinforcement, like not only with the new musicians, if you're seeing some of the mentors being kind of negative or just like tired, if you tell them like, hey, you're doing a really good job, or just anything like that, like I think as leaders, your positive energy will definitely like spread to them if you try to think about that at your meetings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, that makes me think of when you're having your roundup meeting at the end with just your mentors, you know, not necessarily call them out. Hey, what's up with you? You were kind of being a jerk. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily do it that way, But, you might just pose the questions, how many of you guys are getting perfection? No one. So maybe you can have that conversation with, of course, we're not going to have perfection, nor should we expect that from them. So that definitely can be a piece of conversation. I want you guys also to please take all of this information that we're sharing and share it out with your mentors, because they don't have the opportunity to collaborate the way we're doing right now. So you guys are the deliverer of the messages to them. Help them understand that they might not be expressing what they're truly feeling, or to talk slower. And teach them about the ABCs of interaction. Okay. Anybody else have some suggestions or comments they'd like to make? Okay. The C's for interacting with your new musician or your musician is celebrate. They love celebrating. To me, I think about how little they get celebrated for accomplishing something. So many times they feel defeated because they can't do what all the other kids are doing. So this is something that they're really excited to do. A lot of my students, they can't transportation doesn't work, or it's something that they don't understand what's going on. This is something that they're a part of for the first time a lot of times. So even if they do the slightest little thing, high fives, giving knuckles, some jazz hands, giving a quick whistle, but doing things to really celebrate. Awesome. How's your celebrations going? Megan, how are your celebrations going?
Great. Like after my we have stickers for them.
I can hardly hear you.
We celebrate with stickers.
Oh yay! They love stickers. That's a great idea. Who else wants to share a way they celebrate or something about celebrations? Don't everybody jump at once. Callie, Bailey, there's two of you. One of you guys could speak up. How do the celebrations go at your school?
I mean, it's not like a crazy party, but I mean, like, we do celebrate whenever we do accomplish something.
Lots of high fives.
Yes.
Lots of high fives.
we actually just wrote down stickers because we're like, we should probably get stickers just like to put on their binders and just like, this is your sticker, you did really good, this is for you. So we're probably gonna do that next week.
Awesome. That's exactly what this is for, is to start sharing oh, that's a good idea. And actually that reminded me too. Sometimes kids are sticky, or they have their fingers in various places that we think is maybe not really great. And so sometimes it's like high-fiving with those kids is like, meh. I do a lot of elbow love. We stick out our elbows and just say, hey, elbow love, elbow love. And then that way we just kind of bump elbows. And it's just another fun, quick way to give a celebration that's a physical contact of safety. So elbow love's always good. Anybody else have something fun or different? Joan?
We have a secret handshake we do with each other whenever he gets something right. We learned it last year with him.
Do each of your groups have a special handshake with theirs, or is that something specific to you and your group?
I think it might be something that's specific with us in our group, because we taught him it last year because he has a special handshake with one of his teachers. And so we thought it'd be cool to have one with him and us.
Awesome. I like that. I like that. That's what I'm going to share with our United Sound group. Anybody else? He's gonna go pretty stinking fast. You guys are all quiet. It's like the first day of school, though. Everyone's always like. On the
Did you
first
see?
day.
Did you
And
see
if I
Abigail's
get
hand?
Chat.
Did you see
Yeah.
Abigail had her hand raised?
Oh,
Tiffany?
Abigail! Hi, Abigail. I see you.
My school is like new to United Sound this year, and most of our actually all of our new musicians are guys. So I was wondering if you think the sticker thing would work with them as well. Like, I don't know if they'd be.
Yes, I would say most definitely. Because they like to still put them on different things on their folders or on their binders. I would just find stickers that weren't necessarily pink and cute and purple unicorns and glitter stuff, but find out what their interests are.
Okay.
Great question. I got to figure out how to unraise your hand now.
I can just raise it. There's a lower hand.
Oh, perfect. Thanks for helping me. Anybody else? Hi, Destiny. You joined us late. I didn't see you earlier. Okay, the last really essential piece that I wanted you guys to take with you, take away from this meeting is it's essential. We already did the ABCs, right? Everybody remember those? Age appropriate, attitude, be sensitive to their senses, and celebrate. Is the essential thing I want you to remember is that always take time to kind of do a roundup or a final little meeting with just your mentors at the end of each rehearsal. It only has to take 3, 4, 5 minutes, whatever, because sometimes people have had an interaction with their musician that they're not really sure if that was a good interaction, or they kind of feel insecure about how it went. So it's a good time for them to voice it. Or sometimes they're so excited because their musician accomplished something great, or they had some kind of a success to share out. And it'd be great if you guys could take those notes so that when we meet as a group every month, we have something to talk about, and it won't just be me having something to talk about. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Those were my key points that I wanted to address today. Who wants to take time to say what's gone right this month in United Sound? Oh, this is a good raise your hand feature.
Should we raise your hand? Talk about like, I don't know. You can do.
Hopefully everyone has something that's gone right with United Sound. Okay, I see William.
Hi. So this week, we've only had 2 sessions so far, but we have gotten to know everybody. We're mostly comfortable with everybody, with our new musicians and their mentors, and we've gotten 2 flashcards. So every group has started with flashcards, and that's
That sounds great. I love it. How many new musicians do you have at your school?
I think we have 6 or 7.
Yay. Cool. All right. Who's next? Let me see. William. Oh, wait. Next is Callie Bailey.
Hi.
Sounds like one name, Callie Bailey.
This is Callie and I'm Sebastian. We're
Hi.
both co-presidents for our school. And we started this year, and we've only had like 3 meetings, but only 2 of them September. And we kind of just like since we're so new to this, we followed most of the teacher plan stuff. But we've been also like stressing a lot about like very like a majority of our time is not like learning music, but rather like having interactions with one another, so we can like not just like concentrate on learning how to read music, but also how to like communicate with each other and how to like talk to each other,
Yeah, I gotta say, I think that's great because a lot of kids have speech just as goals in their educational career. So I'm sure this teacher appreciates that. But communication and relationship building is something that all of our students would benefit from. So I definitely think that the learning of music will grow quicker because they already will have that relationship and confidence and such with you guys. So nice job. Thank you. All right, Rachel.
So we've only had a few meetings so far, I think 2, but everybody has started playing instruments already and they're really enjoying that. And something that has been really fun is that a lot of our United Sound members also are on the Unified basketball team, and we had our pep band play at the Unified basketball.
Oh, cool.
And so we had people from our pep band supporting people in United Sound.
And I bet you the fans just went crazy, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you know, hashtag never a dry eye or whatever I've heard people say. So that's cool. Great. We have a marching band here that's separate from our United Sound. Like, we haven't even gotten to really start ours yet because our marching band is so busy. And but I would love to see those two incorporate. So if anybody else does that, kudos to you. That's great. Okay, Emma?
Hi.
Did you lower your hand? Oh, no. I'm lowering it now. Okay.
So with our United Sound, we've only been with the kids for a couple of weeks, but I would say that there's been a lot of people who've had a lot of successes with just like the kids wanting to talk to them. I know with the group that I've been with that we've got a little bit of trouble with like getting them to want to like sit in a chair and do things. But I think one of the things is just celebrating all the successes, like you said it earlier, I think made our connection actually stronger because we were showing him like how the cello sounds, and kind of with each little pluck or bow, and it just each part moved him a bit forward and made I think our relationship a little bit stronger. So,
great. That's great news. Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Abigail,
Okay.
is your hand up?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I have 2 things. I forgot what B stands for in ABC.
Oh, be sensitive to their senses.
Okay. And then also, we actually haven't had our first meeting yet, but we're having it Wednesday morning. So if you guys have any tips for us for our first meeting, that'd be great.
Ooh. I would say, at least from my experience, my kids are just the same as every other typical high school student, where in the morning they're just like,
oh, okay.
So be careful of, you know, you're going to probably have to give a really big effort, I'm guessing, to get them to be, you know, their reaction is going to match your action. So if your mentors are kind of sleepy, your musicians might be a little. So that would be a word of advice for me. Anybody else? Justin, I see your hand is raised.
One thing that we do is this is like our second year, and we've this year got 5 new musicians. So we're trying to match the new people together, the new mentors and musicians, so they can like learn together and learn how it goes.
That's great. How long have you had United Sound? Did you say this is your first year?
This is our second year.
Your second year?
Yes.
All right. Well, it's to me like the getting started part and getting everybody matched up feels a little bit hectic. But then once the groups all get formed, it's like a marriage made in heaven. Like 9 times out of 10, it's just a perfect match. Libby? Libby?
Yeah. Hey, so this is our first year doing it. And what we're thinking of doing is, since we have so many wins, we're going to start putting people on brass so that they can learn a new instrument with the students as well, so that it can be a learning experience for both. And that's what we're trying to do. And if you have any tips for us, please let us know.
Wow. So your United Sound right now is primarily like the orchestra part. And now you're going to start adding brass.
Yeah. And this is our first year. And we've only had a couple meetings, but we haven't planned instruments or anything yet. So we're just going to try to see what everything works.
That sounds great. You must have a lot of new musicians.
Yeah, we do. Most of our mentors are freshmen this year, so we're gonna try to teach them while they can teach others as well.
It'll be a growing experience for everyone for sure. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Emma?
Thank you.
For a suggestion on like the first meeting, I wanted to say that I think one thing that I think sometimes can be something that I'm not used to, or I think some of us that aren't in a special ed setting, is a lot of times we just go and we see the friends that are in the new, when we see that they're in the club or that they're another mentor, and we just go over and talk to them. And I think sometimes that discludes the kids that are special needs. And I was saying is when your first meeting is, make them involved as much as possible, include them in your conversation, because I think that makes them want to come back, and it's something that like highlights their day. And that's something that I think once we ever invited everybody, even if they're not in your group, still having a connection with them is really important.
Yeah, I like to hear that. And I know like my students will always say like, oh, I saw my mentor, I saw so-and-so in the hallway or at lunch, and I sat with them, and it makes them feel so included just all over campus. If even other mentors will be like, hey, they walk a little prouder. All right, Sam.
I just wanted to add on the what you were just saying a second ago. I'm on a bus with my friend Diego, and he's in United Sound too. And like half the musicians we have are on the bus, so they're in the bus loop too. And we walk by them and we high five them every day. But I also had a question. So we're doing a new thing this year where each quarter we switch groups up with different mentors and with different musicians. And I just wanted to ask if that was a good idea or not.
This is the first time I'm hearing something like that, but I don't, off the top of my head, see any reason why it wouldn't be beneficial to everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Because, it's not like you have your own friends and those are the only friends in real life that you can have. You hang out with different people at different times. And so I think that would really help everyone to be better communicators, and it is relationships that resonate. So I think that's excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah. Avery.
So I know that one suggestion that I have from past experiences is that you need to be able to go around to every group once we get started. And if there are any musicians that are maybe having a hard time or just are annoying, I go and like speak with them and just make sure that they're doing okay. I know that helps a lot.
Yeah. And as a president, I think that is a really key part of your position, because we have the ability for all of us to meet and talk about this stuff. And you guys can email me anytime. I'm just Tiffany@unitedsound.org. No fancy spelling, Tiffany. So if you have something, you guys can send me an email. But, you think your mentors don't have that connection with each other, like we do right now. So for you as the president to be able to go over and just say, hey, how's it going? I see you guys are doing this, and, give them a little eye-to-eye contact. It will make them feel like, whoa, the president's talking to me. That's the person that's kind of in charge of all of this. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, Aiden. Did you have your hand raised, Aiden?
No, I did not.
Okay, well, I just wanted you to talk, apparently. It's that light in your room. It's just...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, well, is there any thing that you guys have struggled with? I mean, I think we've had a pretty good conversation on the successes. Anything that people are really struggling with that they want feedback on? William?
So mostly our musicians just see the other new musicians and they want to play the instrument that they're playing because, oh, they're making a really loud noise. I want to play that instrument. So do you have any advice on what you should do to have them focus in on what you need them to be doing at that time?
Oh, that's a good question, because I haven't really seen a lot of in my experience, I haven't seen a lot of my kids doing that with their mentors. Does anybody else maybe have something to add about that? I'm going to kind of think about that one. That's a good question. No? All right, hold on. Rachel.
So I've been having, all of the peer mentors are really amazing at my school, except for there's one peer mentor where I don't know if he just doesn't want to be there, but he asked to join United Sound, but he spends the entire time like laying on the floor and he doesn't talk to people. And I try to encourage him to sit up and engage people, but he doesn't really want to help, but he asked to be there. So I
The
don't know how to-
mentor or the musician?
The mentor.
The mentor's laying on the ground, rolling around?
Yeah, and he acts like he doesn't want to be there. But when I ask him, he says he wants to be there. And I'm not sure what to do because I have to pay more attention to him than the new musicians, and it's kind of a problem.
Isn't he in the band or the orchestra? Isn't there a band or orchestra teacher that can, like, is that what you do at your school? That seems kind of weird.
Yeah, that's not what we do. And I don't know what his problem is, but I don't want to be like, hey, you can't be in United Sound anymore. But at the same time, he's kind of causing problems.
Yeah, your band teacher or orchestra teacher needs to step in at that point. Because they're there for a reason. You know, as the president, you already have a lot of responsibilities, but there's an adult in the room that should be able to manage behaviors. I mean, it shouldn't have to be the mentor's behaviors. But I know, like in our constitution, when we had to charter our club, we had in there that the only way you could really be removed from the club is if you had disciplinary issues. And that to me sounds like a disciplinary concern.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Sam?
So I have a question. Sorry. One of the musicians we have at our school, I'm their mentor, but they have like, I don't know if they have trouble talking or like it's their condition or something, but they can talk, like they say yes or no, but like how do you like deal with that? Because they don't like really talk when you ask them questions, but like they'll like say cake and soup and that stuff.
They will do that part.
Yeah. He'll say yes or no, and he'll do the like stuff when we ask like personal questions and try to like have an interaction, like start to make friends and stuff. He doesn't really say anything. He's like, yeah.
Kind of clams up. I actually had a student in United Sound for a few years, and he was my student for 6 years, but he was in United Sound for a few. And it just took him a really long time to warm up to people. A lot of times for my student, who incidentally his name was Samuel too, he did a lot of nonverbal communication. He just felt more comfortable with like pointing or you know, like signing things. That made him feel more comfortable. So maybe the more time you spend with your musician, you'll find a better way to communicate. But just accept that the little bit he is communicating with you, that's great. Because if that's, you know, that's all he's going to give you for now, he's showing up, he's having fun. So keep on doing what you're doing, and hopefully that'll grow.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Avery, I see your hand up, and I see Destiny's hand. And so we'll do Avery and then Destiny. So Avery.
So I have a problem with my group. So with my buddy, I have been with her for the last year too. And both of my other mentors that are in my group are new this year. And my buddy's kind of only responding to me. And I'm trying to include the other people in my group. So I don't really know how to do that.
I would say, you know how do you have three mentors to your one musician?
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of you, I imagine, is playing an instrument. One of you is maybe pointing, and one of them is with the mentor, with the musician saying cake, soup. So I'm not sure what your role is, but maybe try switching the role so that someone else is maybe sitting right next to that person, or somebody else is giving the eye contact to your musician so that you can kind of dip into the background a little bit. And they might not even notice if you're subtle in the switch. But if someone else maybe steps up while you step back, they'll start forging a new connection.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Destiny. Where are you, Destiny? Is it because I sang your name? I'll take it back. All right. Okay. suggestions that they would like to throw out for United Sound just in general, because we're taking notes on all of everybody's comments. And so, you know, your voices should be heard. You guys are out there doing it every day in different ways. Any ideas for suggestions how we could be even better?
I have
Addison.
Hi. Okay, I definitely think it's important to be in communication with the special ed teacher that's working with you, because I know we have a lot of issues with like students communicating, like our new musicians don't have great communication skills, so we're always able to go to the special education teacher and talk to her about like what can we do to figure out what they're trying to communicate or get across, and then she's always there to help us with any issues that we have, or if we need any help with anything, she's always there to help us.
And they should be there every time. Sometimes I hear cases where just the band teacher, just the orchestra teachers out there and the special ed teachers at a meeting. Or the special ed teachers out there and the band teachers doing something different. So it really should be two adults because they understand the students. And really the special ed teacher should be the one that's helping the mentors to help them understand how to work with and communicate with their musician. So I think that was a really great thing for you to add, Addison. Thank you.
Thanks.
Abigail!
Okay, so me and my director were talking about like how it would work with like the mentors writing the rules for their new musicians, and we were thinking like it would be such a great thing if United Sound, you know how their books like have the notes like donuts and soups all printed on there. It would be so great if there was like a really simple program that you guys made where you can like the mentors can just drag the notes like into a program and it would just like write the music for them and then print it out instead of like drawing it in, you know?
Like a drag and drop, something you guys could do. Okay. Yeah, I like that. I don't know how difficult, you say easy, but I don't know how the powers would be work. But I like this
in here for a
suggestion.
second?
See where that would be helpful.
Can I jump in for just a second?
Yeah.
Okay, so we actually are working on that, Abigail.
Oh, really?
We are, yes. We're working, Make Music Now. Anyway, some company is working on the font for us. And we're going to have, we'll have it available. I don't know when, we're still trying to test it, but the font is coming soon to where the font will actually be the notes, it'll be the colors, and it will be all of the donuts and all of that kind of stuff. So it's coming. So thank you. Okay. But yes,
I'm really
excited. It will be there soon.
Yay! See, you know it was a good suggestion when someone's already on it. Okay. Is there anything else that anyone wants to share? Any feedback? Okay. Well, what I have to say to you is remember your ABCs and fill out the monthly rehearsal form that should have been emailed or texted to you. And put in your calendar that we're going to do this again on November 4th. And
I have just two more things.
Okay.
If I could, really fast. We would love to see pictures, and your directors are super busy. So I'm going to kind of put it on you guys. If you guys will take pictures during your rehearsals and send them to me. In fact, you can even, I think most of you probably have my cell phone number. If not, I will send it out. Or just email me. It's just Doreen. It's DOREAN @unitedsound.org. Email me pictures whenever you want, because we would love to be able to see those. We love to post them to social media, all of that kind of stuff. And speaking of social media, if you guys will let me really quick, so on my screen I can see all your cute faces. I want to take a really quick screenshot of my computer, and we're going to post it, if that's okay with you guys. So
people have raised their hand.
Move your hair back. Tiffany, go ahead and get ready, however you want. And okay, we'll take it on 3. Ready?
Oh,
1, 2, 3. All right, awesome. Are you guys all okay if I post that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. You guys are so cool. This is the neatest thing ever. So, thank you so much.
Abigail and Callie and Brooke, you guys had your hands raised. So
Oh, that was from before when I was talking about the program.
Okay, Callie?
Okay, we had a question about the pictures. Is there some kind of, I know there are lots of like release forms that we have to have for everything. Is there some kind of form that they need to complete so that we can take pictures of them, or?
That's on their registration. When they register, there's something on there that says that it's okay to do a photo release.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. And Brooke?
Yes, hi, sorry. So how do I join the email list? 'Cause I don't think my director put me on that. So if I needed to get onto the email list, how would I do that?
Are you on the Remind Me text?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so the instructions for that, if you guys go down to the footer of our website, unitedsound.org, there's going to be a little thing on the bottom that says Club Presidents or something like that, resources. And if you click on that, you'll click on the middle school and high school club presidents. You'll see the instructions on how to do the Remind Me text. And you'll just sign up to get that, and then I'll send those out every now and again. Once we get done with these meetings today, I'll send out my email address and I'll send out my cell phone number as well, so that you guys will have that and you guys can email or text me whenever you guys want to.
Okay.
You guys can email me or text me anytime you want to.
Oh yeah, and Tiffany too, yeah.
All right. Anything else? Oh, Megan. Oh, sorry, Morgan. It's those the old eyes.
Is there like a social media page like on Instagram or anything?
Yes, we do. We have a United Sound Instagram. And I can't remember what it is right now. So I will add that to the text that I send out after today. I'll put all of our, we've got a Facebook page. If you search for United Sound, you'll find it. Search on Instagram. I think it's United_Sound possibly.
Okay, thank
But
you.
if you search it, you'll find it. I think there's only a couple of them with those two words in the title.
Okay.
And I think if you go to our website too, it'll show up, it'll say follow us on Twitter or whatever. Or
Yeah, I think it does.
It's on there as well.
Awesome, thank you.
All right. I don't see any other hands raised. So I feel like we've gone through our agenda and everybody seems pretty happy. So I guess that's it. Happy Halloween. Thanks for coming and joining us at our meeting today, and I'll see you guys November 4th.
Thank you.